So this is my pump. We are pumping well water. We've got some issues with the pump. We're not quite exactly sure what happened, but in the course of unscrewing and rescrewing and dealing with this tank, we broke the PVC there. So I need to replace that PVC. I've done a lot of PVC work on plumbing for sprinkler situations where I lived before in Las Vegas. I think I might have mentioned I lived in Las Vegas for 25 years, and everything there has to be irrigated. I'm not sure exactly where it started leaking, whether it's broken there or whether it's broken further down here. You can see the drips there that happened. It possibly might have broken along here. I'm not quite sure. More than likely it's this area right somewhere in here. My husband's the one that told me about it, so I think I might have all the PVC here that I need to make it work. I'll have to dig through my little bag of tricks and see if I do. This pipe that's running here, coming from the outside of the wall, that is what is coming from the well that's out there. And it's not a traditional well. I'll show you when we go outside that the PVC runs down into the ground and it just sucks up the water that's in the groundwater there. And we are so low, we're only 22 feet above sea level, so it doesn't take very much for us to hit water when we went down. So we've been pretty lucky with that. One time it went dry and I had a guy come out. He didn't even bring an auger or anything like that. He took a big long piece of PVC and he just started ramming it down until he hit water. And he hit water after about 5 minutes of doing that. He was hitting water again, and the little well area depression down there filled up with water again, and we were good to go. This pump is also the second pump that we've had. The one that was here when we bought the house crapped out on us, and so I did replace this one. We really don't think the well is dry, and we don't think that there's a problem with any of the rest of it. So where I'm at now is looking at trying to figure out where the leak is coming from and replacing all of this plumbing right through here. Okay, so you can see that we have removed the tank that's on the top there, and I will just swing around here really quick. It is sitting in our slop sink, draining right now. We think it's leaking in a couple of places. One is along here where it's joined, then obviously up here, but whether this was actually leaking here or whether this was dripping down from when we kept removing and taking the tank off, we're not sure. And what I'm going to probably do is cut this right here, and I'll try to remove this whole bit and rebuild this and then put the whole thing back together there. So folks, I decided work smarter, not harder. And I wanted to use my jigsaw to do this, to make it easier instead of the hacksaw, but I find that I'm out of blades for that one. Unfortunately, I didn't get quite as straight as a cut as I wanted, so I might have to come back and try to get that more perpendicular, but I'm working in a confined space here, so I can't really, I didn't have a really good angle at doing that. So, okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is try to remove this bit and see if I can't get that off. Okay, so I've got two different tools here to try. Got a pair of channel locks. I also have a C-wrench, crescent wrench, spanner. People in England call it a spanner. But I think I'm going to use the channel locks for this because I can get a really wide opening with them, and I'll be able to get it around the bottom if I can get it open. And again, I apologize, I'm working in a really tight space right here. Not a lot of room to move around, so I'm sort of leaning in. Okay, so I'll have to adjust the channel locks. I think I got it right there. So let me see. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Crap. Let me try this way. Cripes. It is on there. Guys, I am not joking. This thing has probably got so much rust on it right now, I can't get it open. So I think the next step is to use something to try to get that rust to open up. I'm going to try some WD-40 around here. I don't know if it will work. I might have to get something else, but I'll give this a try. So guys, we finally managed to get that off, but it was an ordeal. The PVC that was down in there was either glued or stuck into the threads, and I could not get it to unthread, so I had to get creative, and I had to make a trip to the hardware store and get some blades, and I was able to just saw out just a little bit without damaging the threads of the pump. It was a sort of a dicey thing, but once I got one little chunk of it out, I was able to pull and twist and get the rest of it out. And I am going to see if I can't come up with all of the correct sizes and the adapters and everything we need to get this all put back together. So this is what the plumbing all looks like that's going to be coming out of the pump. I don't have all the pieces that I need. I only have this coupler here, and I do have the PVC. This is all 1 inch, and unfortunately I have tons of 3/4 stuff, but only just a couple of 1 inch pieces right there. You can see I've got a nice little piece. The PVC stick that's there, that piece of PVC is actually for exterior, so it's slightly thicker on the inside, the diameter, versus this stuff right here. I'm not sure that it will make that much difference. As a matter of fact, it's probably better for the heat to use that thicker stuff. So since I already have it here, I'm going to try to use it. So I'm going to have to buy some parts. I'll need to buy this part here. And this is the part that went into the top of the pump. And it's going to have a male thread that goes into, screws into the top of the pump. And then I will have to put a piece of PVC to join it to the T, and the T, you can see the threads there on the top. I'll need that piece as well, and that is what the tank screws into. There's threads on that tank that screw into the top of that. And so I'm looking at getting this piece and this piece, and I think I have maybe everything else. So I'm going to do a quick run back out to the hardware store and pick up those 2 pieces. I had to make another trip to the hardware store, which I'm sure you average gardeners can relate to that, having to go back multiple times because you got the wrong part or forgot to get something. So I got all the pieces and the parts, and I've started to put this back together. Alright, so I've got the threaded piece in. And I know that it doesn't look like it's threaded in all the way, and it's not all the way down there flush, but it is super, super tight. I can't promise that, but I don't think it's going to leak. I don't have enough strength to get it to go down any further, so I'm just going to forge ahead the way it is and see what we can, keeping our fingers crossed that we don't have any leaks. So you might be wondering why I'm wearing gloves, and a lot of you who have done any of this sort of plumbing before, especially the exterior sprinklers and stuff, will already be aware of this. So this is just for people who don't know. There's 2 things I'll be going to be using today. One is a thing called purple primer, and the other thing is some PVC glue. This glue that I have here, it's pretty heavy duty. I've got some stuff this is called red hot glue. But I've got some that's, you know, more standard than that, but this is left over and I don't want to waste anything if I don't have to. No need to open a new bottle. So the purple primer, what it does is it cleans the surface. I usually do inside and out, even if I'm not gluing something interior, I still do both sides. And the gloves are because it's purple primer and it gets on everything, including your skin, and it's really a pain to get rid of. It'll also drip on clothes or your shoes or, you know, the ground or whatever. So if you care at all about what you're working on or the area you're in, you should probably put down something. I'm in the garage over top of concrete. It doesn't really bother me too much if it gets down on the concrete. So basically, I rub it inside, both sides, like I said, even though I'm not going to be gluing there. And then I give a really good outside. This like cleans off all the dirt and gives a nice, fresh, clean surface for the glue to adhere to. And part of the hardest part of this job that we're getting ready to do is measuring. Measuring all the little pieces to make sure that they all fit, and we don't have something that's too long or too short. You can see I've got purple primer all over. That would be all over my skin if I wasn't wearing these gloves right now. Okay, so here comes my glue. Oh, and don't forget to do the inside of whatever you're connecting to as well. So I'm gonna, even though this is a brand new part, I'm still gonna throw my purple primer in there. So I'm gonna do the glue in two places. Wow, this is pretty gluey. Gooey glue. I'm gonna do it inside. Oh my gosh, I'll make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area, you guys, because this stuff is toxic. Okay, and I'm gonna do the outside of this piece. Here we go. Keep our fingers crossed so I can get it in. And I'm just gonna push it in and squeeze down to get a good. Yep. Okay. So this stuff dries pretty quickly. Most of this PVC glue. The blue stuff, I don't know, I think it probably goes about the same as the usual clear stuff that you can get out of the box store, but it seals really quick. I mean, that's not going anywhere. Okay, so I've been using this old piece sort of as a template to tell me what pieces I need to go, and that sort of thing. So the next thing we got to do is we have to put this T piece on the top here. So here we are, got the T. I'm going to do all the insides. There's nothing going to be on the outside. These are all female that I'm going to be putting pipe through. So I only need to do the inside of this one, not the outside. Now, something that's going to be really important, I want to point out that you can see where my piece is here with the gauge on it that goes out to my valves. I need to make sure when I put this T-piece on that I don't have the T facing the back or the front. I need to make sure the T is facing in the correct direction. And I'm only reiterating that because this glue sets super fast. So when I put this on, I want to be sort of going in the right direction that I'm going in, because when I put them together, they're going to stick fast and I might not be able to move it. So I'm going to, this is awfully thick, adding it to the inside of this guy. And I'm going to put a little more. I think this is sort of gooey because I leave this stuff in my garage. And here we go. And I'm facing the piece I need to connect to. All right, I think the next piece I'm going to do is we're going to connect these two guys back together. Now, I know when I cut this one, I didn't do a really great job and have it totally perpendicular, but I'm just the average gardener. I could come back out here with my jigsaw and try to shave it off or cut it back down, but I really think it's going to be okay. I got a pipe and I got a Sharpie. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a test measure here. Okay, so I don't want to go all the way in here. That's too close. Somewhere right around here is what I'm figuring. And I only want to go halfway on this piece because I only want to go halfway on this piece because the piece of PVC here is sticking halfway through here. So I'm just going to do an eyeball measure of this, and I think I'm going to need a piece about yay long. So I just marked it with, I just made my line with my Sharpie. Now, because this is so thick, I do have an actual tool that cuts PVC, but this is really thick, so I'm going to be using my jigsaw to cut this piece. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do here again is I'm going to do a dry fit to make sure that I have the decent length that's going to work. So I sort of put that in there, and here's where it's going to get tricky because I've got to be able to get this in here and on this piece at the same time. So I've got a little bit of play with this piece of PVC that I can work with, but not a lot. So I may need a little bit. Oh, I just need a little bit of wiggle room. There we go. All right, so what I think I'm going to do with this piece, since I had to move the pump a little, is what I might do is I think I'll attach this piece first, this coupler, and then I will put this piece into the T, and then I will maneuver this guy around to get it into the end. I think I'll have the best luck doing it that way. Sorry guys, it's super hot. You probably hear fans going in the back here because it's really hot in the garage, so I've got fans going. We are definitely in the 90 degrees with big humidity, and I'm in a very confined space right here. I can't barely move. Ugh. There we go. All right. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm sort of going to lift this out of my way, and I'm going to do this side here, and then I'm going to manipulate this guy around and hopefully get him in where I need him. To me, this is always the hardest part, is getting the correct measurements on these things. Like I said, average gardener. A pro, I'm sure, is so good at doing this, they could probably eyeball it all. All right. So, doing my blue glue. And I'm going to put some on the inside of the T. Okay. All right. There's this guy. All right. He's in as far as he's going to go. Uh-oh. This is where we come into trouble. But I think I've got a little bit of play in the pump. I had moved it back a little bit, so I think I can move forward a couple of inches, and that's going to allow me to get these two pieces in. Got my dryer hose here. You guys can see my dryer hose. My laundry, we're in Florida, my laundry's out in the garage. Okay, I got the inside of that. Let me get this guy. On this guy. Holy moly. This is one of those above average. Yay! At least for now. We'll wait until I get everything put on here and we fire it back up and make sure I don't have any leaks. The biggest thing I'm worried about is what's going to happen right here. Because this was so difficult to get in, I wasn't able to get it any further down than this. And technically it should be sitting flush with the top of the pump. Like I said, it's a super, super tight seal right now. So I think we're going to be okay and not have any leaks right there. But who knows? We'll find out when we fire the thing up, if it even works. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see inside, but there are threads inside there. And there is a little nub on the bottom of my holding tank that has threads on it, and this should work. But you know what? Before I actually put this in, I am going to double check to make sure that it is the right size. Okay, so this is the right size. I just double checked it, and now I'm going to put it into the top here, and we'll see where we go. So first I'm going to purple primer. Now I'm only going to purple primer the outside. I don't want to purple primer where the threads are. Okay. Now my blue glue. This will be the last of the blue glue before I put it out. Wow. Too much. Holy cow. This stuff is thick, thick, thick. I'm going to see if I can't clear some of that off because I don't want it to really be on my threads. Okay, here we go, last piece. Alright, so I've got a little bit of help here, and I'm going to stay in here and sort of watch this, and they're going to open a valve. But let me turn on the breaker. 23. Kicked on. guys can hear it running. It's going to be pretty dry. I'm letting some air out of the top of this ball. I don't want to do this too long because there's no water coming in through it, or we would hear the water through the pipe, and I don't want to burn the pump up.
Okay, then you may have to take the ball off and fill it up with water.
Okay, so I'm told that maybe we need to fill this ball with water to get the pump primed. Yeah, close the valve first and we'll try it again and see if maybe because the valve was open, it was too much for the pump to try to suck the water out. It hasn't been run for several months now, and so it's quite possible that we need to prime it. Maybe just to get it started. I've got a little bit of leakage here, but I'm not sure that that's actually leakage because when we dumped the ball over the tank, it leaked some water. So I'm going to dry that up just so we can keep an eye on it.
Is it leaking?
No, I think it was from the ball.
Originally.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so the valve is shut.
Valve's
Now I'm going to
shut.
turn the pump on again, see if we can get enough pressure going. Plumbers out there are probably having a conniption fit because this is probably not the right way to do it, but like I said, I'm an average gardener, so can you put some water in there for me?
Thank you. It's still not full? There you go, it'll come this time. That's what it is. Now again, we could be fighting with the dead horse. It could maybe it's a combination.
It could be that the pump has had it. I don't know.
It could be the well.
Could be the well is dry.
Yeah.
I don't think so though.
There
we go.
Here. Put this in now. Here. Watch it. There's a lot of water in there now. You gotta
dry off around here, so if we get a leak, we'll be able to tell. All right, here we go. The pressure gauge go up. I got a leak.
Do you?
I'm just not down enough.
Where's your thing?
Yeah, that's better.
The pressure's going a bit, isn't it?
Nope. Pretty hot. It is out. It's all out.
It's the black one, right? Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Oh, I'm hearing something.
I heard a little. Like I say, it'll take a while.
Yep.
It's moving.
I
What?
hear a little gurgle.
Gurgle. Down.
Oh my gosh. The needle's starting to go. Let's hope it doesn't blow.
See now, but why did it stop?
Because the pressure was up to where the gauge, where it needed to be.
I'll let you mess
And
with
it will kick back on. Yeah.
So see, you know it's working.
Yep. So it will kick on and off to keep the pressure up to 50 psi, I think.
Okay. Hey,
So
at least you got
when it
work.
goes back down to 32, it kicks back on.
I'm just checking there.
So I think it's functioning the way it's supposed to. So now the trick is to go out in the back and see if we've actually got anything spraying. Okay, now I'm on the other side of the wall from where the pump is. And it seems to be working the way that it's supposed to be working. And this is where all my valves are. This is the valve we have open right now. It goes to the backyard. And then this is a valve that also goes to the backyard, but I'm not using that one right now. I capped the pipe. So I've only got one open valve to the backyard. These others were all here when we bought the house, and they are in various stages of disrepair. This one, we totally cut it off. This one is still running, but it has a crack in it, so it leaks, and we did the old handyman duct tape job on it for now. And then this final one I'm not using either. I'm pretty sure I capped it off at the end of the driveway. So this is where it's all the magic's happening. And if you look at this one pipe here that goes down, that is going down into the well that's dug. The PVC goes down into the ground and sits down by the well water, or the ground, the aquifer, the groundwater, and it sucks it up into the pump, and then the pump pulls it out and into the valves and then out into the yard. So that's my little manual valve setup right now. So a couple of weeks have passed since I did the plumbing repair, and unfortunately it has not solved my problem. So I don't have any leaks, which is a good thing. However, as you can see, I also have no water pressure. No pressure at all. The breaker is still on. So what should be happening is the pump should actually be kicking on to bring that water pressure up, and it's not. So I may have to take this tank off the top again and reprime the pump and start over. But what I'm beginning to believe is perhaps our well, although maybe not totally dried up, is pretty low, and it just can't keep the water pressure up. So that's very, very disappointing. And the couple of options that I have are to re-prime the pump, start again, see if I can't get the water sucking up and flowing again, and keep my fingers crossed that there is actually water in there. I just didn't leave it running long enough at the time that I tested it to get the system all back up and pressurized properly. The other option is to try and get into the reclaimed water availability here in Pinellas County. So we have reclaimed water that you can sign up for with the water district. I definitely would have to call in a plumber, because they'd have to tap into it down at the sidewalk at the end of the street and then get it up here to the garage. It's probably about 50 feet, 60 feet. And that was going to cost some money, and I think at this point in time I'm going to hold off on that. I might be able to massage myself a few more months. I've been doing it for the last couple of years, so I don't see why I can't keep going this at the way I've been going without using the irrigation yet. With just watering from above when I need to, and keeping our fingers crossed that it's rain. We are in the rainy season, as I mentioned before. Right now it's about mid-July, and when I worked on the pump was about the end of June. So it's like 3 weeks, and we're right smack in the middle of the rainiest season. And just about, I don't know, probably every 3 to 4 days, 5 days, we've been getting rain. It's not as much as what it could be, but it's something. And of course it never fails. About 3 days ago or 4 days ago, we hadn't had any rain for about a week, and everything was starting to droop in the back, all my potted plants. So I went out and I gave everything a really good drench, and then of course the next afternoon we had downpours. So anyways, this is the update on what's going on with the pump and the sprinkler system. So for now I'm going to move on to another project, and we'll come back to the irrigation later on.